Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's show, where we'll be discussing everything about the influence, this week's detailed AMA session on Reddit, and how we're all feeling leading into launch week of Google Stadia. So, without further delay, onto the show.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Thank you for tuning in and spending your time with us this week. We really do appreciate your time. Remember, you can follow us if you don't already over on Twitter at Sounds of Stadia, like one Patrick Seybold did this week, who is the head of comms over at the Google Stadia team. So thank you for that follow, Patrick, and we hope you enjoy listening to our thoughts and takes on all things Stadia. If you don't use Twitter, you can find us over on YouTube by searching Sounds of Stadia to keep up to date with our latest news, podcast drops as they happen, as we wouldn't want you to miss out. Joining me this week are the usual suspects, but in live form for a change. That's right, we are recording all together and in the same room for only the second time, because we're all attending a party tonight to celebrate one of our best friend's birthdays, but we won't tell you how old she is, for modesty's sake. So we're going to record this episode, and then we're going to hit the hard liquor, if we haven't already. I know some of us are still on water, disappointingly. But without further delay, I'd like to welcome once again my fellow co-host, the techie teacher with only 2 nipples, Mr. Tom.
Yeah, just to confirm, it is only 2, not 3, following last week's episode.
We've checked, excellent. And alongside him, the man of many pixels, minus his bowler hat this week, my good friend Richie. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hope you're both well, and you're ready to get this party started, because I'm already on alcohol, but...
Wow.
Well, if you knew that.
Starting early. I know. I feel like I'm leaving the party behind a little bit now.
Well, I thought it was implied, but either way...
I thought a glass of water via the podcast before we start, but no.
Play it safe.
Yeah.
Already on the rum. So we'll jump into clearly everyone's favourite segment this week, the What State Are You? Topical segment, educational and barely linked to games whatsoever piece that we do every week. But would you like to know where we're going?
Yeah, where are we going? Where are we going?
I don't know. West Virginia.
No, not quite. We are going to Nevada.
Okay, alright. Okay.
But
I'm already
again,
having thoughts.
Going to keep it nice and short. So a few little factoids about Nevada is apparently in Spanish it means snow-capped.
Okay.
Which is a slight irony.
I don't really see that.
Yeah, I always thought Nevada was a bit more dry.
It is actually, and funnily enough you say that, Richie, with 10 inches of rain per year, Nevada is actually the driest state in the whole US.
Oh, well, there we go.
But it means it maybe once was snow-capped. Yeah, it's all gone now. And while several states don't have laws banning public intoxication, which is going to be a running thread of this show, Nevada it does actually specifically prohibit local or state law from making it a public offence. But it's also got a statewide law that allows 24-hour sale of booze.
Nice.
Yeah, cool.
So that is why what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
Because everyone's drunk. And speaking of Vegas, all the sum of every number added together on a roulette wheel equals 666.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I'm guessing it's not a very religious state then.
You'd expect it in Sin City, though, I suppose, wouldn't you?
Very true. But another one just off the back of that, actually, 666 isn't the devil's number.
Oh, okay.
It was translated differently, or the numbers mean something different. I can't remember. You'll have to watch QI. There's an episode of it where they explain that. It's like 696 or something like that.
Oh, right, okay.
It's not. So it's close, but 666 isn't, in fact, the devil's number.
So we've been living a lie.
Yeah, so anyone with that tattoo...
satanic knowledge at the moment.
Yeah,
you need to brush up
Hit
on
the
that.
books again.
Yeah, we'll do that before
Summon
next week.
a demon.
That could be a different topic altogether.
That's a different podcast entirely.
It's a spin-off podcast.
That's the post show that we're going to be doing.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on there.
After a litre of rum's gone.
Yeah, alcohol is the devil. But to bring things back around to games then, without glancing at my laptop, Richie, does anyone have any idea what games have been featuring the state of Nevada?
I'm very bad at this game.
Are you? Okay.
I think Tom's definitely the clear-out winner. I think 2 weeks now he's pulled something out so far, but we've not really been keeping score.
Nevada, I mean, it's Vegas, which leads me to Fallout New Vegas.
Oh, he's got one.
But it's not actually... Oh, no, it's Fallout. Fallout is set in this world, isn't it? It's
not
inspired by... I was going to call you out on that. Damn it. But that's New Vegas.
Yeah, sorry, Richie. I kind of stole that one. I thought that was the glaring obvious one.
What has Vegas in the name?
Yeah, you probably stole the only one I'd guess.
Oh, there is another one that has Vegas
Fallout
in the name.
Old Vegas?
Oh, no. Any more, Tom?
Vegas.
There's some really there's a few that I picked out which were quite funny just by the name. I'll throw one which I didn't even know existed.
Go
Because did anyone play the Die Hard trilogy on PlayStation 1?
Yes.
With the one was the light gun, one was the racing game through New York, and one was the airport scene.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nakatomi
It was
Plaza.
that one.
It was like
great.
third person, first person shooter,
Yeah.
and then a racing. It was a
Yeah.
brilliant compilation of games. Apparently, there was a second one
A second Die Hard
called
compilation.
Die Hard Trilogy 2: Viva Las Vegas.
Wow,
I
that
did-
seems like a bit of a
Okay.
stretch to
I
me.
think there's a reason we didn't know about
Yep.
that.
Okay.
Alas,
okay.
that existed, but that was a throwaway funny one. Aside from that, Call of Duty. If you've played any of the Black Ops games, both Black Ops 1, 2, 4,
Yeah,
and
that's
Call of Duty Ghosts,
So
All
the Call of
featured
Duties
Vegas.
do get around a bit. So.
Yeah. Not big.
much
Call of
like
Duty
many
players,
people in
but-
Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of things like films that are set around the Vegas area, and whether there's any sort of like that tie-in film / video game,
Well, I keep trying to think of what is the state known for. So obviously Nevada is known for Vegas or anything casino related, and try and get it from there. But it's just
Yeah.
not working for me.
Yeah, there was a few casino simulator games that were on the list, but I thought I've never heard of them. But I can picture like that
probably
Leisure
a
Suite
million.
Larry
yeah,
style
yeah.
game where you have to build up your own
But that's
casino.
almost like picking out one of those like random pinball games that used to exist
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
They
isn't
don't
it?
not
It's
main,
a bit of a
mainstream
stretch.
enough. Yeah, I think there was a truck simulator that went through the desert,
Yeah,
made, but
well.
again, truck simulator.
Las Vegas Roulette is probably a game.
It probably is. It's definitely a mobile game of some sort. So
Poker Champions.
I'll give
2019.
you some of the other ones then. So we had Driver 2.
Okay.
Anyone who played Driver 2?
I don't really think I paid attention to driver law to consider.
No,
that. knew
no,
that it was
I
set
do-
in-
the only thing I
set
rec-
in Nevada.
The one thing I do recall from Driver 2 is that you could get out of your vehicle.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
I've not looked too much into it, but I remember as a child playing it, the confusing thing that always got me is the guy who you played as the protagonist.
Yeah.
When he got out of the car, he didn't have a gun, even though he was being chased by police in American. You would expect that. However, his shadow did. So his shadow on the road when you ran around had a gun in his hand, and I always thought, like in hindsight, I'm kind of like, I wonder if that was in the game originally and it was pulled out and they've just not.
Yeah, it sounds and they just forgot.
Or for maybe it's the UK
shadow.
audience that got
It's a
rid of the
little bit more
gun.
of that
or...
666
See-
magic
Yeah,
again.
to be fair, we are talking back in the days of games where if you were playing Driver on the PC, you'd probably have to end up turning your shadows off.
Yeah,
Play the
yeah.
game.
Exactly.
Just
so
one black blob on
Yeah.
the floor instead of
But it's running too slow. What can I switch off?
turn
Shadows.
shadows off. Yeah, why not?
Draw
them off.
distance.
other ones on the list of notable titles are Duke Nukem 3D and Duke Nukem Forever.
Oh, okay, yeah,
'Cause you
yeah.
can, I can picture the
yeah,
ladies
I'm
dancing.
annoyed.
and the-
I'm annoyed to
Yeah.
miss that one actually.
Yeah.
I used to play the Duke Nukem 3D quite a lot when I was younger as well.
You can
so-
picture all the casino
Yeah.
signs, everything. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that.
and the nudie ladies.
Exactly, the pixelated nudie ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2D sprite. It's really weird. It was like 2D sprites in a 3D world. So when you
yeah.
moved, it's like
They just
they
rotate.
just rotate on the spot as
did.
well.
It was quite a sharp rotation
yeah,
as well.
Yeah,
Secret rooms in
Yeah.
behind the glass.
yeah.
So on the back of Duke Nukem, there was also Homefront. Have you ever played that?
I
I'm
never
aware of
played
it.
that.
Never really played it.
Yeah,
No.
I'm the same. I'm aware of it. It was apparently okay. I don't think
Okay.
it didn't set the world on fire.
Yeah.
Hitman Blood Money. Doesn't surprise me that Hitman games went to
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah.
I'm sure the new one probably has an odd mission or
Probably,
two.
yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
the
It's
new
a
one's-
good location for crime, deceit.
The new
murder.
one is quite cool, actually. The design of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they kind of scupped themselves at being seasonal. I think that's
Yeah,
the
I don't
one
know if
thing.
they did that for the new Hitman 2.
Oh yeah,
though.
there was two that came out really quick, didn't
Yeah.
they? Between
They
each
did.
other.
Absolutely.
And then finally, the one that I'm surprised you didn't get with Vegas in the title, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's another a big oof right there.
You know what? I'm not a big Rainbow Six guy. I actually played the original Rainbow Six back
Yeah.
in the day on PC, and then nothing till Siege.
Yeah.
Vegas was quite a big one in that series as well, wasn't it? I mean, I know Siege has now just literally
Yeah.
just changed the game essentially with it, and sort of like revitalized the whole series. But yeah, I remember Rainbow Six Vegas was one of the big ones for the
Yeah.
whole
I think
whole thing.
for me, with the first one was incredibly tactical, so you'd have to set up your squads and how they move throughout the map.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 6, so it was like I didn't really get it. This was just a first-person shooter.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few things when it comes to Vegas that you can pitch out. I'm sure there's a lot of movie tie-ins and other stuff, but
I just wanted to double check to confirm that, but I forgot that Rainbow Six Vegas was the game where you could use the webcam or like the console camera
Yeah.
to scan your face and
Ah.
put it on the model of the actual character. but it would literally stretch it across the face. So you get some hilarious.
I did that with FIFA before, and it looked terrible.
Yeah, when you get things like people putting baby faces.
Oh dear,
that's
that's horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want a good time, Google this.
Rainbow Six Vegas face scan. Yeah. Good times. Good laughs to be had right there.
Definitely. So that moves us away from Nevada then, and onto more things American. So I think I just wanted to follow up by saying sorry for last week's episode where we may have said a certain tech company's name. For those who have particular little mini speakers around the household, we may have said, hey, some insert name here a few too many times, and I did notice it on my own listen back, and it started setting all my devices off as well. So do apologise. We'll try and be a bit more conscious in the future of not saying, hey, blah blah. Do that.
But thanks for the feedback. That sort of feedback is very useful for us.
Definitely. And obviously it is a Google product centric podcast as well.
Yeah, we're just testing it works.
Yeah, we're just making sure that everything's in place. The systems are still up and running. All those assistants out there are still doing what they need to do. But we'll try not to trigger people so much in future.
There's actually a guy called Random Noob who called us out on the Facebook comments, so thank you, Random Noob.
Thank you.
Thank you indeed. So that brings us then to our busy segment of the week, which is Tom.
It's extremely busy this week, but we're going over to the super sexy special Stadia Stories segment, aka gents,
the
news.
I'm not going to say it this week.
Just
because Richie seems to have messed it up every week since. So
we've never rehearsed it.
I just think it's going to be the thing from now on. Like we're just never going to bother.
We just mess it up every single week. That's the thing.
You can consider to be annoyed by the fact that we cannot synchronize.
We don't need to anyway.
Nope.
So swimming across to first story of the week. So it's been quite a busy week actually. There's quite a lot of topics, very Stadia centric, which we expected leading into the final week before launch. So that's right. We're mere days away as of recording. We are 3 days out from hopefully people starting to get their hands on it. So there was a few kind of details finalised this week, both on Twitter, the internet, and such news websites that have got some first. I know IGN are doing a couple of pieces this week as well. Just on the top of our doc, we've got that the final launch day lineup was revealed. So this was quite late coming to the forefront, I believe. Even though we've knew about these launch games, they very subtly came out this week on the internet and confirmed that they launched games actually a few and far between what we expected, I think. So the launch day lineup that they announced shows Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Destiny 2, Guilt, Just Dance 2020, is it Kine? Mortal Kombat 11, Red Dead 2, Samurai Showdown, Thumper, Tomb Raider, and Tomb Raider.
So if you like Tomb Raider, you're good.
Yeah, if you're a big Tomb Raider fan, go nuts. But, gentlemen, what do we think of this? Because,
I think Doom Eternal getting pushed back has kind of not led this to be not as good as it should have been. They're missing that new game. Apart from the indie games, there's nothing new there that haven't been out for. I think it might be the newest game is a couple months old already.
Yeah. Now I don't know about you, but prior to seeing this launch lineup kind of official photograph or image that they dropped, did you think the rest of them were all launch titles?
I was under the impression that they were.
So was I.
Yeah, so I was actually really rather disappointed when
there
I
was
saw.
A few I knew when things like Baldur's Gate knew that was coming next year.
Yeah.
There's a few Borderlands knew that was going to be next year, but there was a lot of the games that I expected to be day and date and not.
I think the way they've been messaging this from day one, which was 2019, I think, along with everyone else, I think November the 19th is so close to the end of the year. I just presumed anything that had 2019's date on it was going to be a launch title because they're already out on other consoles.
Yeah.
2019's almost ran out of time.
Yeah.
So when they say it's 2019, I just expected that. Yeah, why, like, the week's delay between the 19th of November and the 31st of December at the end of the year seems so short. It's almost like, why are they not there come then?
It's quite weird that there's another second list of games that aren't day and date that are coming out in 2019, and there's 6 weeks
Yeah. So what is it? Is it December 19th we get the second drop of titles, and it just seems such a short window of time to.
I wonder if this
not
is
have
just
them
a
ready
choice
for.
to slowly roll them out so they can kind of test how the hardware's doing.
You'd like to think they'd do that internally, though, like before they actually launch the product. I mean, the games that are on that list, as you've said, they are already out. They've already been out like for some time, so it's not a case that, you know. I mean, okay, there's like what a couple of exceptions to that list there. One being Darksiders Genesis, which is going to come to Stadia first. Cool, right? That's one I probably will go for when it comes out.
Timed exclusive.
But you know, Final Fantasy 15, that's been out for 3 years now, so surely there's been plenty of time in the works.
The original Tomb Raider I played on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah,
that's how old that
exactly.
game is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Obviously, they're part of a collection, but
But looking at the list of games that they've confirmed, which they confirmed well before they said, right, here are the launch titles. These games again have been out for a while, so we've suddenly taken this. I'm not going to call it a big list of games because, quite frankly, it's not a big list.
it's a slightly
It's a
larger
short
list.
list.
Yeah, it's like double the length of the launch list. But we've now got 12 games that are going to be available from day one, and from that, what do I fancy playing? Still to be determined, I think, at the moment.
Well, the big two on that list to me are Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Red Dead 2. They're games I would have thought if you're really interested in them, you probably haven't by now because they're both over a year old.
Yeah, and another thing that came out alongside it, I think, was the part of this week's news was the pricing as well. They've confirmed that the pricing is going to take into account market kind of fluctuation in sales and prices. So don't expect the original Tomb Raider to be full on £50, $70, $80, whatever it may have been at launch, because it is an old game, and they've said it's not. They're going to look at market trends and link up with that, which I think is the right thing to do.
It'd be quite offensive to almost just bump it back up to release price.
Yeah, kind of thing for me. If it was me making the decision on the Tomb Raider games, I would just launch it as a bundle.
Yeah.
Then you could probably as the equivalent of a full price game, release all three as a single bundle, and that would then be okay. I probably would buy that.
Well, this is the positive of being a digital storefront, is they don't have to run the risk of it being several different prices across supermarkets, game outlets, and everything like that. It can literally be just that. So it wouldn't surprise me if you buy Tomb Raider 1, you get a knock-on discount for the second one, you get a knock-on discount for the third one, and they almost can create a bundle digitally on the fly if they want, because it's so easily customized.
There is a downside to that because it means everything is through their storefront, where with the PlayStation you can go on Amazon and buy probably Red Dead 2 you can probably get for about 35-40 quid now, where it's probably full price on the PlayStation, so about 50-60.
Yeah, I think the one thing that Google probably have done as well is knowing the way that they work on their ends as well. They probably have some sort of algorithm or rule set in place that also sweeps the internet for like the big distributors and checks their prices as well, so they can remain competitive for it. Especially when they're checking out things like Epic Store, Steam, Amazon probably as well, retailers in different countries, because they want to make sure that they are still obviously bringing in the money for the developers, but they also want to remain competitive and be sort of like the first choice almost really for people to buy those games.
Yeah.
But as you say, they do need to take into consideration how long some of these games have been out, because there is no way I'm going to pay full retail for a game that's been out 3 years.
I think the reality is just dawning on quite a few people that we are the beta testers of this.
Yeah.
But in line with the games, though, I think the biggest problem they've made for them, totally self-made, is that the Stadia website under the game segment has had it listed down as that for a long, long time now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you actually look at their website still to this day, it's got that list of games that I think even when we started this podcast, we looked at that list, and I think episode 1 and we went through. Baldur's Gate's on there. Borderlands 3, Doom, some of the older ones, Football Manager 2020, Farming Simulator, The Crew, Division 2. These games that have been out, Superhot, that have been out for some time, they've been on their games tab on their website from day one.
Yep.
We did a whole episode talking down which ones we were interested in, which ones we wanted, and then a week prior to launch, they come out with, by the way, that list you've been looking over for several months. It's actually a little bit smaller. It's only 9 games, and it's just that kick and while it down.
Borderlands. This is one of the games I said I didn't buy on PlayStation because I wanted it on Stadia. Because I was interested in cross-playing this with my brother, like I had with the pre-sequel, and I had Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. but my PC hardware is not good enough, and that was why I was interested in Stadia. I don't know why that isn't on the date list. I really don't. It's on the 2019 list.
Yeah.
But why?
If they can get that out for Xbox, PC, PS4, whenever it came out several weeks back, why isn't it day and date with Stadia? Like, that could be one of their flagpole game. Yeah, it'd be new enough. I don't have it. That would be one that on that list. Like, I look at Odyssey, I've completed it. I look at all the Tomb Raiders, I've completed them. The other few little ones on the list, like Thumper and stuff, don't really have my attention. It needs something to get me into day one. Obviously, we've all got Destiny 2. I haven't played that yet, so no doubt we're all going to jump on that. But all it would have took is one relatively new one, I think, to pick Jedi Fallen Order. I'll get to it later on, but that would have been a fantastic get for them, and we spoke about it.
Yeah, but this is why I think Doom Eternal kind of screwed them a bit, where I think that was always going to be the one for them.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I say, looking through that list there, I've got to admit, like, initially, I'm not really taken by any of them. I'm probably going to go back and... I mean, I never really played the second or third Tomb Raider game, so I probably will use Stadia to test the waters with that.
Yeah, and again, depending on the price, this might be it, where if the price is sweet enough, I haven't played the first Tomb Raider in a long, long time.
Yeah.
So if it's a fair enough price, I might think, you know what, I did really enjoy it. I think I actually bought it on PlayStation 3 and the definitive version that came to PS4, so I enjoyed it enough to buy it twice already, so if it's a decent enough price, I might even get it a third time, a sucker.
I really enjoyed 1, but I didn't play 2 and 3. They've always been on the list. This is why I say, if this was a bundle, I'd be buying that.
Yeah.
So, interesting stuff.
So those changes sort of caught the entire community, I suppose, by surprise in a way.
Yeah, I think they've put this information out there to generate hype behind the console, and then so close to it, they've backtracked on a lot of things, and it's annoyed a lot of people.
But yeah, and this is where it rings true that we really need to start looking at ourselves as beta testers for this. I don't think until that 2020 relaunch to the public, that's when it's going to go, oh, it's a real thing. The catalogue, I'd imagine, come whenever it is March, April 2020, it's going to be a lot more fleshed out. You'll have Cyberpunk day and date, I'd imagine, hopefully launched in that time of year, and a bunch of other games that are going to roll out early in the beginning. So, again, disappointing, but I think, the reality is, we're all in the beta test.
But we just have to hope as well that those new titles, like Cyberpunk, when they come out, that they do come out as well with a release date that lines up with the other consoles, the other platforms as well. Because if we find out then that they are coming out Xbox, PS4, PC, and so on, and Stadia will come a week later, which sometimes happens with like Switch games, then but it's going to be a little bit like...
You can almost forgive it for Switch games, because... If you buy it for Switch, usually it's because
it's its own market, isn't it? It's not really competitive. Like, it's not really part of the core market, in my opinion, anymore. Like Nintendo.
And Nintendo are one of the cornerstones of gaming since ever.
Yeah.
So they get away with things that Google aren't.
Yeah. Well, the reality is with the Switch as well is they have to scale things back and downgrade the actual game itself. Whereas with Stadia, with it being infinitely more powerful on paper than the other two, than all the platforms, scaling things up shouldn't really be a problem, because it's you're going up the ladder rather than down it, so it's actually should be a little bit easier. But either way, we'll draw a line under that. I think if you can't already sense our disappointment in the list, it's just because we want to play games, and that list has slowly but surely got shorter since we started this podcast. So once it's live, hopefully there's going to be a nice drop soon, because we no doubt we want to play stuff over the whole day season.
We're all avid gamers at the end of the day.
Yeah, I want something to play.
The software out to its best capacity to see what we can do with it.
Yeah, I mean next week, hopefully it's going to arrive on the Tuesday. I'm away with work the Thursday, Friday, so for me that was the week I'm going to get to trial it away from home and see how this cloud gaming really does work.
This is assuming that you get your launch
package, assuming it comes on time. But if not, my week's set up to test this stuff out. Yes. I should be able to play Destiny in a hotel room using my laptop and my brand new Stadia controller. And are we going to be recording this next week? And I'm sat there.
Haven't played it.
Having played nothing, anything that I want to play anyway, so we'll see. Did anyone hear about that Worm game, by the way? We didn't touch on it last week.
I saw it was featured in the UI demo.
That's it, yeah.
It's a placeholder.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, if not, it's another game to
play. I don't know why they needed a placeholder. I mean, they've got a list of games.
Yeah, so for those who've not seen it, the context is there was a video dropped with some of the Google Stadia UI, just the interface on working on a television, and it appeared to be one of the games was just called Worm Game or something, literally.
I think it was just called
Worm Game, yeah. And the internet blew up with exclusive Stadia announcement.
What is this worm game?
AAA standard. People are just guessing it was Snake
maybe
from the Nokia.
Maybe Team 17 testing the waters. Like, let's
Maybe
put
Team
it as
17
worm
have just
game, and
filed
if
a
a lot of people go,
copyright.
I'd love to have worms on there, it's like, yeah, you can have it. He's worms
Cease and
Armageddon.
desist from Team 17. How dare you call it worm game?
Worm game, that's it.
There's
But,
only one worm game, damn you.
I love playing Worms. Actually,
Worms
I
Armageddon
have a
was
good
amazing.
story. I had a Worms game for the Sega Mega Drive, which I rented from my local video store.
that was a thing
remember
once.
those things? Yeah,
I do.
rented it for the weekend, and I was so young I couldn't comprehend that. We put the cartridge in, turned it on, and you had to press start or a button to start the game. You know, the loads, essentially the opening menu screen. And either the controller I had wasn't an official Sega one or something. It didn't have the button required, or it didn't work. So I don't know whether it was the controller was maybe on its way out or not. And basically, we had it for the full weekend. Couldn't get past the opening screen, and then had to take it back on the Monday. Never played it. Just saw the intro loop, the music playing, and took it back. And either some element of that pipeline was broke. But again, back then, what could you do? I was just a daft kid. I didn't comprehend it might be the controllers broke or the cartridge is
Try
faulty.
blowing in it.
Yeah, you did all the usual things you did, but so they just went back to playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and whatever. But I never
not
got to
a
play
bad
that
idea.
game. But no, I've got some good memories of playing Worms Armageddon and
Worms
stuff on
Armageddon's the best
PlayStation
one.
1.
Yeah.
With the granny bombs and everything, the holy hand grenades and everything like that.
Super sheep.
Absolutely.
Super sheep, exactly.
Absolutely.
So moving on to our second story, nice little quick one here, a bit of positivity. The Stadia app is now also live for you dirty iPhone users out there.
It's here, finally.
It's
Tom can play with us again.
it's up and running on iOS. I presume you've downloaded it, Tom?
I have, yeah.
Is the interface any different than the
No, it's
Google
exactly
one?
the same.
Just
It's the same face. It looks exactly the same. I haven't looked online to see if anyone's dug again into the packing files. To
What
see
pack
if,
was that, Richie?
What?
The file pack that you did
The,
in?
the APK files.
Yeah,
APK,
I
got it right this time.
AKP, PKA, PKA, maybe?
Yeah, I haven't had a look online to see if anyone's done any digging into the iOS app to see if there's anything there. But I assume it's exactly the same. It's just
probably
written
support.
for a different operating system.
Got a couple apples in
Yeah.
there.
Well, this is
Couple of
kind of what we
apples.
said last week, that we expect it out within a couple of days after.
Yeah.
And as we said last week, Google didn't actually announce that the Stadia app was out there. People found it.
Yeah, but it's out there. It's wild. So hopefully we'll probably get the desktop variant and other such ones trickle through soon enough. But as we've found out this week in some news, which we'll get onto in a second, and we found a bit more information about the app and how it's going to be utilised with Stadia. So third story of the week is dropped in from you, Richie, which I think we've all noticed, and anyone who pays attention to Twitter or the games industry will have noticed that influencers have started receiving their Founders Editions already. Now, I have one question with this. Do you think the people who are receiving them at the press points were actually genuine founders, or have they just been sent them for the sake of being influencers or news reporter people?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah. See, I'm ever so slightly skeptical about this. If I'm being completely honest with you, I feel this is Google pushing for publicity, because I've noticed in particular, if you look in certain fronts, social media sites, YouTube and so on, the amount of Stadia ads that are popping up now has exponentially grown from what we've seen before. And I think this is a marketing push rather than a genuine, here are all the founders, here are some famous people, who are founders invested in our tech.
Yeah, I think you're right there. But to be honest, I kind of expected this. This happens with every single console launch, every single game launch.
I think
So I don't know why people were caught off guard, to be honest.
The reality is that, if you're going for publicity, you do take it to people who have a widespread audience and who can, get the information out there. And I get that. But it also makes me sort of I don't like being this cynical about things, especially this close to launch.
But you're British.
Yeah, it's just part
of your DNA,
parcel
yeah.
of it, isn't
To
it?
be fair,
really?
Google have a lot of bullet holes in their feet right now.
Exactly. But in regards to it, I mean, that's how influencers work.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of it. Is it's the easiest form of marketing and branding, and people listen to their opinions.
But we just have to hope that those influencers, for our sakes and for people who are invested in the product, do actually get the full-fledged experience and get to give us good feedback on it.
Most of the people who are not founders already who have got it will be the bigger sites, whether they're gaming sites or tech sites, and will go do a professional review of it, of it as a service. Where I think a lot of smaller influencers might just go, well, this is rubbish. and not understand what they're doing.
I mean, if you're going to distribute free versions of your brand new product to the world out there, you're going to be clever about how you distribute them and who you distribute them to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not daft. They're clearly going to send them to the people who have been positive on it. I know we've seen one Greg Miller got his, which makes sense, and he's been quite a good positive driver of Stadia. I think he's had a few guests on his show talk about it. He's always been quite confident about wanting the streaming kind of world to kick off because he travels a lot. Which makes sense because I think it definitely fills that niche gamer who he probably at the moment has a Nintendo Switch as their go-to travel console. Stadia could be that replacement where you get to play your AAA quality on the move.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think they'll fully replace the Switch because Nintendo will still always be Nintendo.
Yeah, they'll always be there and they've got their exclusives. But I think for me, what always got me first foot in the door about Stadia when it was first announced was the ability to take them AAA games on the go when I'm in hotels or when I get kicked off the living room TV and I want to go to the bedroom. If I've got another Chromecast stick in there, I can just jump around freely. I can go on my phone. I can go on a tablet.
That's for me. I've bought into the vision of Stadia. So while we're being quite negative in this podcast, I still believe in what it will be.
Yeah,
it's just a shame it's not what it will be now.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of the people who have invested in this initially are almost like it's almost like a strange Kickstarter campaign that we've all sort of put our money behind it and said like, right, we believe in this idea of like moving video games forward through a streaming platform as opposed to like the traditional method of it.
Yeah.
So we're putting our money where our mouth is to basically say like, right, this is what we want to see taken forward. Now, it may, in the first instance, not work out exactly as we originally intend to, but hopefully, over the lifespan of Stadia, we do see it grow into the vision that we all have for it, or we share with it.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of there being another major player in the video game industry as well, because since PlayStation 2, Xbox, it's been Sony and Microsoft trading blows, Nintendo off the side, PC gaming in its own little bubble, and that's been like that for about 15, 20 years.
Yeah, since Sega decided to throw the towel in.
Yeah, since Sega had stepped out of it, it's been Sony, Microsoft. So having another company come into the mainstream video gaming, it can change things up.
Speaking of Kickstarters, we did have the Ouya at one point as well, didn't we? But that
yeah, that didn't really ever kick off. They didn't have the money that Google has. It's that software, that infrastructure that's going to kind of push this, I think, beyond
the games.
What people think.
Listening Google.
It's all well. It is all well and good being Google, having the Google name, the Google money, and the infrastructure. But you gotta have the games. You've gotta have the games behind it.
Actually, saying that, did you hear one of the developers for, I want to say, is it Guilt? That's one of the launch titles. Was caught out of context in a way as being quoted that one of the scariest things of developing for Stadia was the fact that they might just cancel it and delete it in a few years' time. Which it was taken out of context. It was again, like I saw some articles, which was the full thread, which is just a discussional piece around working on a different platform and its pros and cons that come with it. But that comment on its own can sound very like you're making a game for this platform, and your biggest worry is that rather than
but it can if you take it out of context. I suppose. In reality, as a video game developer, you've also got to think about your lifestyle, your livelihood, the future of your business as well. And if Google have got this track record of cancelling things before, then you are going to be a little bit more wary of things like that. So, it can't be taken as being...
Google's track record for cancelling things isn't as bad as people make out. A lot of the services that are cancelled have been services that have been running along for maybe a decade, and then they've iterated on it, or basically people have just moved away. There's a few things like people go to Google Glass. That was never launched.
No.
So you can't say that as something that was a service that was cancelled.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, with Google products, that because, again, I'm going back to this whole idea, like they have such a big name out there in the world, that as soon as somebody catches wind of something that's happening at Google, it suddenly becomes like, oh, well, that's mainstream already. That already exists. That's like, even if it is in sort of like an alpha development stage, if somebody catches wind of it and the public then know about it, suddenly it becomes like, oh, if it doesn't work out, oh, that's a failed product. That's a failed product. Google can't do this. It's not worked. So there's a lot of negativity around it, and I think a lot of that stems as well from the fact that Google is such a big company anyway, that they're almost doomed by this like self-fulfilling prophecy of If it doesn't work, people write it off as a failure immediately.
And they experiment as well a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
because
they're
they
a
wanna
tech
push
company
things
who
forward.
has tons of money. Why wouldn't you want a piece of every single pie that's there? And yeah, it's no surprise. All companies do it. It's just I think some are more public about what they launch. Like our research and development goes into absolutely everything. I mean, at the moment, there's an ongoing joke with Sony that there's a handheld. They're doing it, but yeah, behind the scenes there'll be plenty of prototypes with thousands upon thousands of pounds, dollars, whatever you want, going into making these things that'll never come to light. It's just because Google's primarily software, they can get theirs out to the public a lot quicker than a physical product.
Sony have
and
probably
guess
been
what?
doing it since the Vita came out. They've probably been working on the next iteration.
I mean, look at the hardware on their memory cards they try to make proprietary that didn't work. Their Discman players and stuff that we've moved, MP3. Everyone, Microsoft, anyone heard of Zune? They've all had failed things, and that's tech companies that have to innovate. Yeah, it's coming back. But the reality is these tech companies, they all do it, just some are more publicised than the other.
Yep.
And if you wanted to scrutinise and go down, you could get 1,000,001 things that have failed, been and gone.
Look at any company and you can find stuff like that, especially anyone in the tech world, like you say.
Yeah, we've just joked about Sega.
Yeah.
They're now software purely because they fucked up their hardware game.
It happens, guys. Just get over the fact it happens, but... You know,
yeah, I mean the Wii U could have killed Nintendo if they didn't have so much money in the bank to kind of quickly redesign. Yeah,
and is Nintendo just going to go to software?
Yeah, and
like
luckily,
and I kind of wish that would have been awesome.
Yeah, but you
never
know.
You wouldn't have your Switch.
You never know.
You wouldn't have the Switch then, would you?
Yeah, I mean that is the saving grace of Nintendo because the Switch is awesome.
Exactly.
But, although Nintendo and Sony don't get along, so I still probably wouldn't be able to play Zelda.
They did once upon a time, but you never know.
That falling out was one of the best things that ever happened to the gaming industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we got PlayStation and we got a Nintendo 64 out of it, so thank you for that.
Certainly. So to pull it around then into some positive news. So for those who didn't know, Google had a AMA Reddit thread this week, which is Ask Me Anything, I believe.
It is an Ask Me Anything.
Ask Me Anything. Basically, loads of questions got put to them. They answered a few in quick succession. They took the time to get a few answers, and obviously anything that goes public, they want to make sure has probably got a commercial, viable answer that's not going to be spun or twisted in the wrong way. So we did get a couple of decent details out of them. So we're just going to run through them one by one in a quick storied manner. And break it down, just get our takes on them and see what we think and what it kind of means for the bigger launch that kicks off next week. So just to run down the list then, the first story was pairing your controller to a TV is a snap and you only need to do it once. You'll need a smartphone to pair your controller to the Google Chromecast Ultra. However, once you go through the setup process, you just need to grab your controller, hit the Google Stadia button to start playing on your TV again.
Yeah, so it's a one-time pairing system and that's it, essentially, it's done.
Which I think is what we expected to do. We knew the app was going to be integrated into linking it off the bat. But yeah, it's good that it links up. Nice and quick and easy. I'm glad that they resolved that. Don't get me wrong, day one I'm probably going to have a big glance at the instructions and press all the buttons and see what colours do what. But it's good to know that it's set up via the phone because, again, if your TV's hooked up, if anyone's used a Chromecast before, it usually gives you a unique code linked to your Wi-Fi, and that's how it pairs. And with the controller being Wi-Fi, it makes sense to get it on that network, and it stands out as well. Any more takes on that? Was that quite straightforward for you too?
Straightforward. It's what I expected, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by that, but it's glad to know it's been clarified.
It looks nice and clean and simple. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing, really.
Second piece of news from that was that you'll need your phone to buy games. So once you're set up to play, you can play without using your phone. However, you won't be able to purchase games on your TV at first. Instead, you'll need to use your phone for the purchases, which, looking at the brief snippets we've had of the app so far, it's just going to be a digital storefront.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, as we've just mentioned, it's not going to be that large of a storefront anyway. You're going to be able to get it all on one screen on your phone. But that makes sense. I think all the other consoles have digital storefronts now that you can use.
I mean, caveat in that point right there is that the in the AMA they did say on your TV at first. So there is, again, this intention that they are listening to feedback and probably will be pushing out.
I think that a lot of these things they're holding back on and going to be rolling them out over the next few months between the soft launch for the founders and the hard launch when Stadia Base comes.
Yeah.
Because just to roll it out so they can tweak and make sure they mitigate any problems. Because if you launch a million different features and half of them are broken a little bit, it looks like a catastrophic launch.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think part of it comes down to, we know these features work at the moment, so let's push them out. And then we'll listen to what the community says. We'll have things in the pipeline ready to work through. And if it's viable, if we can get it working, then we'll add them, and we'll add them as quality of life features to sort of like improve the overall experience, which is very fair, I'd say.
The storefront not being there is a weird one, because if anything you want at launch is a storefront, so people can buy games.
Yeah.
I know it's good you got the app, but
again, I think the phone integration of the app is going to be a bit bigger than we initially thought. I think it is. I know we laugh at Nintendo with theirs, but that's very much just for the voice chat element of it. Whereas I think Google are going to want to integrate, because you can eventually, once that Pixel exclusivity ends, you are going to be able to play these games on your Android and your Apple device. So I think keeping you one hand on your phone, one hand playing the games, it's quite clever that the stuff is there, because it's directing you back towards your phone, which at the end of the day, we all use our phone. I think like the average human checks it 20 times every hour. That's where your most interaction is going to be. Yes, they'd love it to be Stadia, but the reality is if you're out and about and you're checking it and a little notification comes up saying sale on this weekend, flash sale, whatever it might be, you're jumping to that, and you could maybe jump in and play it on your phone, or it's there for you when you get home. So
I think I've been checking my delivery for Stadia 20 times every hour lately.
Oh, I'm just leaving it to hope and chance now.
I think I'm at the point now where I'm resigned to the fact that it says delivered by 27th of November, so I'll see you guys 2 weeks down the line.
They've clearly came out and said
you'll be able to use the app.
Will be getting
this is true.
Things will be getting distributed from the 19th, and they've made a point of going, it's a bit of it is out of our control. This is the day we're going to actually start processing them to ship out, but there's lorries and things involved, so
I have faith mine's going to be here on Tuesday.
Okay.
I really do.
Would you put money on it?
Nope.
My expected
There's
delivery
the faith
date.
for you.
Put Google credits on it.
Mine's delivery date is expected the 22nd. If they ship out on the 19th, I can see it being the day after, maybe the 20th, 21st.
Yeah. I have faith, but we'll see. If I get mine on Tuesday, I'll put it on Twitter. We might do a little unboxing video, because that seems to be the trend this week with everyone getting them in the press and stuff.
Yeah.
So just another one from the AMA then. It's very simple to launch games and play with friends right from your controller. Once you've set everything up through the app, you can simply navigate your way to your games and start playing either by yourself or with your friends online. So we saw, there's again little other video that we put up on our Twitter page, just simply shows you how you can jump and navigate around the user interface. Really clean, really simple. It's no different than any app I've used, I would expect, whether it's a Netflix app or Amazon Prime or anything like that. It's simple setup, and you've got your friends list on the right column. It looks like that's going to pop out and hide away as you navigate through things.
And like I say, I think again with the app, it'd be quite nice if we could have that interaction of being able to use the app for messaging purposes and also for joining parties and stuff as well.
Yeah,
I think that'd be pretty cool. Like again, it's not a launch feature. It doesn't have to be a launch feature. But again, I like this idea of them thinking about and considering quality of life developments to make the experience quite fluid and make it responsive to the way that seems to be where we're moving to next, which is, again, we're doing a lot of things through our phones now, so let's make these features go through our phones somehow.
The one I would like them to do, which we touched on last week, was bring the app to Windows.
Windows phones or
no, Windows PCs. Just,
yeah.
I imagine there's a lot of people who will be playing this largely on the PC, so you just want it there.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's as we've learned with a lot of these things. The next point that came from the AMA was confirmation almost that we're definitely in a beta, which makes me think they should have just called it Stadia Beta, and then I feel like this would have really just took away a lot of people's, I think, frustrations and gripes with it if they just said, look, it's a beta until next year. When base launches, that's when the full thing goes live.
If they're just upfront right from the start going, I agree, if they're just upfront from the start going, we don't know what all the features won't be day and date for founders, but they'll be getting drawn out over the next few months after.
Yeah,
that would have solved a lot of this. So
it would have
confirmed things like, well, we knew this gone in.
It would have alleviated just a bit of that unknown pain that I think people are going through, because the next point was again they've clarified it now, so I suppose whether it gets picked up or not, but they said Google Stadia will be quite basic when it launches, but new features will be regular. A lot of new features Google hopes to be part of Stadia won't actually be on Stadia. when you boot up for the first time next week. However, new features will land as soon as 1 week after launch, according to the AMA.
That's fine, because most of us won't be able to launch it during the first week anyway.
Yeah.
They've got a potential problem there is, I wonder how many people who saw the initial release and go, that's awesome, pre-ordered it, not thought about it since, will get their bot, get the Chromecast and plug it in, and it's nowhere near what they were expecting because they were not involved in the community as much as we've been, not paying as much attention.
It's a possibility. It is
There's
a possibility.
I am expecting backlash.
I think it's that weird thing where I think as a general consumer who didn't set up a podcast and follow all the sites and keep in that loop, I think
Actively find information.
if you are genuinely someone who's maybe... The thing is, if you're only slightly into games, I don't think this would be something you'd pick up as a Founders Pack. This is something that you'd maybe grab your attention next year when base does come out, and all you might hear about the news, and they do a really big marketing push. I think the people on board right now are the hardcore gamers who...
I think, you have to be invested to make that commitment early on.
I don't necessarily agree, because I've seen people on the Reddit and Facebook saying they don't have a gaming PC, they don't have a console, and this is them deciding to get back into gaming.
But mind you, if you look at some of the people on Reddit and on Facebook and the kind of things they've been asking, I don't think they're on the same
When's my delivery date? Will I be getting it a week before the
especially
worldwide
when you see
release?
that question 20 times in the same day.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
It's
Paying
one
your
of
phone
them.
goes off, you check it Reddit. When's my delivery date?
Yeah. Will it be coming on the 19th?
We don't know.
Yeah, we just just be patient and wait. But you alluded to it a little bit there, Richie, about plugging your Chromecast stick in and using it, and people might get a different surprise.
Yeah.
So you won't be able to use your current Chromecast Ultra. So anyone who currently has one, the new edition that comes out with the Founders Pack has actually got a firmware update that is going to be rolled out to anyone who's got an existing Chromecast Ultra. But it basically means if you're sat at home thinking this is going to be fantastic, I've got 3 in my house already, you ain't going to be able to play Stadia on it at the moment in time.
It's just another... It's coming, but not yet.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because they've got to wait for the firmware update. So, the software isn't in place to support it yet on the devices. Now, they could arguably roll it out already, in preparation for the 19th launch, which is what any other company probably normally would do.
Because it's already
Yes,
in boxes.
it's on the boxes. It's in there. So
just do it now, Google. Do it now.
I think, again, it's kind of partially this element that they want people to have been invested in the Founders Kits first, because if you could suddenly just perhaps just delay, it might cause some people to delay their orders, or just essentially just cancel their Founders orders and just wait till base if they find these things out. I don't know, but again, I mean, I'm not an owner of a Chromecast Ultra at the moment, so it doesn't really bother me. I'm just waiting for my original kit to come through.
I have a normal Chromecast and I love it.
Yeah,
so I'm happy to upgrade to an Ultra.
Got any Ultras, Chris?
Not Ultras, but I've got basic ones in the house.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm actually a really big fan of the standard Chromecast. I've been using mine for about 6 years at this point, and it's amazing for the price of it. And especially, as Chris was saying, we use a lot of phones a lot for things. So Netflix on your phone, beep, it's on my telly.
Definitely.
I think it's like £30 in the UK for one. I'd recommend anyone pick it up.
Gotcha. Well, the next point that came up from the AMA as well was that Google did state that your Gamecast can be interrupted, but your game will continue. Since you're using a Chromecast Ultra to play your games on the TV, what happens if someone casts something else to that same device? The new content will appear on the screen, but your game will continue for another 10 minutes. So even if a program does interrupt your gaming using Stadia on the Chromecast, then your game will still be active for 10 minutes in the background, so it gives you plenty of time to sort of get back into it if you need to. Just in case, your partner comes home, or your mate, your roommate, whatever it is, comes in, and they've just gone, yeah, Google, sorry, play something like this instead.
Or someone just having a bit of shenanigans.
Yeah,
Sat
you know what
next
people
to you,
be
just
like.
know what I'm going to do.
It's going to be the whole thing like when Kinect first came out for Xbox as well, and people realised that you could actually control consoles and turn the console off using Kinect voice commands as well, saying, hey, Kinect, power off, and so on.
Yeah, they're very niche things, aren't they? I think, speaking of niche things as well, they announced that there's going to be something called the Claw coming out from... I didn't actually expect that when I said that, but now I've heard it back, that makes total sense. If they don't partner with Toy Story for that, then
that'd be amazing.
It's essentially, if you've never seen one before, it's going to be a mobile phone clip holder that's going to attach the Stadia controller to your mobile phone, and it's going to allow you to play everything kind of on the move with that. But yeah, if they don't market it as the Claw, they're missing a big chance.
Is the Claw just for Pixel phones? Or is it just?
I don't believe so. I think it's just a generic one you can alter the size and dimensions to on the fly as well.
Cool. That's good to know.
Another one was your founder's name has some limits, which I think we touched on the name. I think we knew a little bit about that last week. Said it has to be between 3 and 15 characters long. Can only contain letters and numbers, so no symbols or anything like that. No hashtags. And if you don't like the name you choose, which we knew, you can change it at any time, as much as you like the email and Google support, because you can't do it through the app. It has to be a specific phone call to the customer services team at this moment in time. Which, who's realistic? How many people are they going to get to do that?
That could be improved in the long run anyway. That's probably just
it could be
not
just a limit. I think the more difficult you make it, the less likely people are.
But just to clarify on that point as well, this particular response in the AMA only applies to founders, and I think that has something to do with the fact that we don't have that hashtag number code after our usernames as well. I think perhaps because the coding behind the scenes requires like a hard change to the username instead, as opposed to an automatic update. Because with Battle.net, again, from Blizzard, if you change your gamer tag using that, then the numbers at the end are re-rolled, and you get a new digit code at the end of it, 5-digit code at the end. So perhaps it is just exclusive for founders. I'm not sure. They may be able to change that in future, but I'm sure we'll soon find out.
Yeah. On that one, actually, I did actually ask a follow-up question, which didn't get answered. What was, will this be a paid thing, as Xbox and Sony do? I think you get one for free, and then you pay for others.
Right, I see.
However, it didn't get answered. So if anyone does know, tweet at us at Sounds of Stadia or leave a comment.
Yeah, please do let us know if you have any information about that. That'd be really useful.
I mean, I'd imagine there's a paid element that has to come into it because it stops people from just changing freely week on week, month on month. Yeah. Those picky individuals out there, you know who you are, who will be changing their name if they just don't like it this week or want to change back. Whereas if you put a paid element into it, it kind of negates that a little bit, and all businesses do it just to stop people just changing it constantly.
I kind of like that. You get one free.
Yeah,
and that seems fair because again, it's work on their behalf as digital and as free as it may be. It's still, if you put a cost on it, it just limits it.
Well, I think from a business perspective as well, it sort of makes sense. But
there's a person who has to do this.
Yeah, so. the idea of it being free again, like especially for free accounts, fine, whatever. But as we've said in a previous episode, it can be abusable. So we'll see.
Certainly. Simple one that came out, which we did know about, was that come the 19th of November, the launch day, if you don't have your Stadia controller yet, you're still going to be able to play the game using your code that'll be sent out via email. So the emails come out once shipping's confirmed. Yeah. And you're going to be able to log on. Now, personally, I'm just going to wait until I get the whole Stadia bundle. I don't feel it's necessary to jump on with my PlayStation controller or my Nintendo Pro one just yet. I'd rather just hang fire and wait.
I might jump on because I've talked before. I'm interested in Stadia as a potential replacement for PC gaming for me. So Destiny 2 being a first-person shooter, I do actually prefer first-person shooters, mouse and keyboard. So I might just do it.
I think I'm with you on that, actually. Yeah. While I might, before I actually delve into it fully with a larger game library, I think if my intention is to play a game using mouse keyboard, then I probably will try it out using Stadia as opposed to controller. But those games that I want to spend a lot of time in and invest in, RPGs and so on, then perhaps I'm probably going to wait until I get the controller for those.
I like both mouse and keyboard and controllers. Some games work better with others. I'm not like a purist. I'm not saying mouse and keyboard is the best outright and a controller should die.
Yeah.
Give me both.
But just to confirm on that point as well, just to clarify for those of you who are listening to, the AMA did state once again, and it has been confirmed now from Google, that shipments will go out in the same order that Google received them. So that does mean that not everybody will be receiving them on day one. It will be a staggered release. And part of that, me thinking about it, is I think you might have touched on this before, Richie, is actually perhaps that's to almost sort of balance the server load as people start to get the product and get into it. So almost roll it out a little bit.
I think as well with the names, going back to the names, it gives you priority this quicker you're bought into it.
Yeah, perhaps.
Because it's first come, first serve, so...
and I get that, but I still feel like it's a little bit unfair to certain people when you have invested in a product prior to launch and being told you will receive it. No, this is a pre-order. You should receive it on day one. but I'm I'm just trying to be a little less cynical and start to try to pick out at this point what is the mentality behind doing that.
I've always understood the mentality behind what Google are doing, at least I think I have. However, I still strongly believe a pre-order, and if it comes out on the 19th, it should be in my hands on the 19th. At least a man should turn up with it at my door on the 19th at some point during that day.
On day
because,
one.
yeah, that's why people pre-order anything.
Yeah. But speaking of day one as well, one of the other features they mentioned is the family link will be available, which is obviously going to be the ability to jump in if you've got children and just control their game. And again, however that's going to look, no doubt the app's going to have some integration. You set time limits or age restrictions.
And I'm sure China will have a lot of fun with that.
Exactly, yeah.
There's two parts to that. There's one, there seems to be a sharing game function, which I think is about sharing games within the family. And there's the more security inside where that has the...
Yeah. It's an interesting one to see how they're going to limit it in terms of playing that. I know Xbox and PlayStation have their own variations on who you can play. You can set one as your primary console and the other can play and vice versa. The reality is when it's just a login to a cloud server, is it going to be like Netflix and you've got a certain amount of logins per user? Because what's to stop me from logging in on the TV at home and then someone else logging in? I presume it's going to be limited to one user at a time. What if you've left yourself logged in on your TV and you go away for the weekend and you forget and it's still on, and you're not going to be able to kick them out? Like,
I'm assuming you could potentially password protect things. Like on PlayStation, on different devices, you can put a password in so no one can log into your username. So if you're using a parental account, you set up your one for the child, and then from your parental account from your app, you can restrict them. So they can't actually get on unless they know your password.
Yeah.
That's my assumption.
Yeah. It's going to be some kind of like control, I'm sure they've thought that through. And alongside Family Link as well, we found out that in terms of buying stuff, it's obviously going to be linked to your account, but you can also use Google Play gift cards and credits will work. So if anyone's picking them up from supermarkets or shops and stuff, you're going to be able to log on and keep track of those, which I think, again, it just fits in with the norm, I think, for the industry. I think I know there's a few people we've got Christmas presents for this year that are like Xbox, PlayStation vouchers for the younger ones. Yeah. Makes sense. It's just generic, and you'll no doubt see them on the shelf alongside it.
Absolutely. So a quick thank you again to Andre from the Stadia team and to Berry as well, for running that AMA on Stadia as well. Obviously, it's a lot of information. A lot of it we probably already knew, but it is nice to now have that confirmation, especially from somebody in a position where, you know, they are the director of product, for example, and dealing with customer service. So we know that this is the legitimate information at this point.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
We do indeed. There was one final one of that which we just skimmed over there, which was that game achievements will start being tracked from day one. You just won't know it. So this is big for me as a trophy hunter over on the PlayStation 4. You guys happy about that news? Gonna get on it? Are we gonna compete?
I mean, it might finally be my time to actually become sort of like a trophy hunter.
I like trophy. It's a bonus.
Yeah.
I knew when I was watching the AMA, Chris was actually still at work, so we were texting every big article to him, and I knew I saw that one. I knew that was going to make him happy.
Yeah.
And I think Andre pointed out that when they finally do launch the trophy system properly, you'll just get all of them ping up. That'll be an awesome moment.
Yeah, it will be. There's nothing more satisfying than hearing like 2, 3 back to back, and then you get that platinum right at the end. So whatever it's going to be the equivalent. So it's interesting that they're not going to be there at launch, but it's going to track them at launch because again, the developers put these in for all different consoles. So it's nice to know that they're going to be there. And come that achievement day. Whoa.
I hope for the
start stacking
the games that are coming out just on Stadia at least first, that they launch the list. So you can see actually what trophies.
So what trophies you're working towards?
Yeah. A lot of the other games, I'd imagine, say the Tomb Raider will be the same as PlayStation.
Yeah,
Xbox.
they will be, won't they? Absolutely.
But it's just, I think it's mainly Guilt and is it Kine?
Thumper is relatively new, but it'll be the same as the PlayStation, Xbox achievements.
Fantastic.
So
right, so that brings us to an end of the AMA session. As we said, thank you for the two hosts who spent their time actually getting the answers, give us an official response. Just before we wrap up this week, gents, what have we been playing?
I've been getting back into Overwatch a little bit because of the Overwatch 2 announcement that came out from BlizzCon last week. So
trying to hide their political problems at the moment.
Yeah, and I think they addressed that kind of quite well. I mean, I won't get into the politics of it, but you guys can read all about the politics behind Blizzard online and the big shenanigans. If you don't, where have you been living the past few weeks?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been getting back into Overwatch, playing a little bit more competitive there. Kind of hyped now that Overwatch 2 has been announced because it's really the story and the lore that I'm invested in there, and I know that my fiance, I can't call her my girlfriend anymore, but she'd be really interested in playing it too because she's enjoyed watching me play competitive and she likes the characters, and I think for us to be able to sit down and play Overwatch 2 and the story mode together will be cool. So it sort of rekindled my interest for Overwatch once again. How about yourself, Richie? What have you been playing this week?
I'm not going to bore you with too much details because I've been still playing Persona 5, and that's probably going to be the same. Apart from a brief break for when Stadia comes out for Destiny, it's going to be Persona 5 for a while. Really still enjoying the game. Although my one critique of it is there's so many mechanics and systems to learn, and sometimes the game doesn't let them breathe. The story just keeps dragging you through with it, which is quite ironic on the load screen when it says "take your time."
Yeah,
Let me take my time.
It's almost like this Japanese work culture of work in a video game.
But it's not. It's like, oh yeah, I've just finished the first story arc, and it's like I've did one shift in my part-time job because every time I guess like, oh, you need to study. Oh, but we're going to do three days worth of plot now.
It
just keeps getting into
was that
the
school castle?
Yeah,
yeah.
But
okay.
To be honest, it's a really cool game.
I love it. Chris, I know I'm going to get really, really jealous of asking you, but what have you been playing this week?
I picked up and started playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
And now I don't know how much I want to ask this question or whether I don't, but I can't even find the words. How are you finding it?
No spoilers.
Yes, definitely no spoilers.
This is the game you've been looking for.
Hey!
For any Star Wars fans out there. I've only put about 4 or 5 hours into it at the moment, but just to keep it very short, for anyone who's on the fence with it, definitely recommend it if you're a Star Wars fan. It is everything I anticipated, so it's got that third-person action, little small mini-maps similar to Tomb Raider, where you can explore detailed areas, very Metroid Vania style, where there's a lot of skills you don't pick up until later in the game, so it allows you to retrace your steps through similar maps, and you can unlock different areas.
There's certain areas you
it's
can't
essentially
access due to having like a force jump to a certain level.
Exactly like that. So being a Jedi, you pick up different Jedi tricks and stuff, and you reattach yourself to the Force, and you remember things that you were shown as a young Padawan. And obviously no spoilers, but the stuff allows you to then climb somewhere different or to reach somewhere using some Force abilities that you wouldn't have otherwise done. Straight off the bat, though, customization. You can customize your character quite detailed.
Excellent.
Let's just say for anyone who's a fan of Jedi Master Plo Koon from the prequel trilogies, I'm rocking an orange lightsaber at the moment, and it feels amazing.
So we have customizable lightsabers. Right.
Mm-hmm. What's your lightsaber color going to be, Tom?
I have to lean towards the Mace Windu perp. I gotta like my perps.
Me too. It's the best one.
Yeah.
Nah, see, I'm totally orange.
Yeah. I've got to admit,
isn't orange meant to be slightly dark-sidey?
It's
in the middle,
the red spectrum. So
yeah.
Maybe either that or pink.
I don't know. I think in the older games, it was like the yellow to red was like Darksider stuff.
But
I don't know if that's canon anymore.
So plenty of customization. I've already got a few little outfits. You find crates throughout the world that kind of have like parts to customize lightsabers. So it's not just the color, the actual hilt you can totally customize.
That's selling it.
It really is. And there's little boxes you find, and every time I find one, I'm kind of immediately want to go to the on board your ship, which is kind of like your home hub. You've got all the maps and the planetary systems you can go to, and then you've got your workbench where you customize it, and it's like your hilt's broken up into 4 different parts, and your crystal you put in for your color, and it's all customizable. Your outfit and stuff's the same, but quite interesting storyline so far. The graphics really good, AAA standard I'd expect from EA. There's some things that are a little bit glitchy, but again, it's only been out a week, so they're going to probably patch some things.
Quick question.
Shoot.
How are we looking at for microtransactions?
Non-existent. There isn't any.
Well done, EA.
You are. Are you actually listening to us?
Microtransactions might reveal themselves to the Jedi soon, but for the time being,
they've said at some point.
EA, if you are listening, no, they won't.
No, they've said they won't have it, but story so far. I'm not that much into the campaign. I've done too much exploring. There's loads of, as you'd imagine with a detailed game, there's quite a lot of codex information you pick up about creatures and relics you find around the world. So again, it's building that lore, and already I've seen the planet I've just reached. is featured in the Clone Wars, so I won't ruin that for you. But there's a moment as soon as it revealed, I thought I've seen that before, and then the characters start talking about certain things that if anyone's watched the Clone Wars, it reveals more about those characters. And it's like it's filling those gaps in knowledge that you pull together from the TV show, the movies, anything you've read in the past, and I can just see the story culminating to going to be really enjoyable. And plus, the reviews have been fantastic. It's like getting all like 9s
so
and 8.5.
it still sounds like a game I will be picking up.
Yes,
then.
it sounds like it.
Brilliant.
Definitely recommend it.
Very briefly, microtransactions. I actually wouldn't be against EA bringing in microtransactions for some
You didn't
cosmetic
mean that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just a few cosmetic things. Like, how cool would it be to play as Darth Vader, just dressed up as Darth Vader for the entire game? It just has a
And your new game plus, maybe.
this is what I mean. It's like so bringing stuff like that.
But so far, thoroughly enjoying it. I can't wait to actually really jump into a bit more because I've been a bit busy, so I've not had the time I've wanted to, which is a sign of a good game. I've had little snippets, but I'm trying to almost put everything off aside. Damn people getting me to record podcasts, so I go to parties when I just want to stay and play Star Wars.
Do we have to go out tonight? Can we just stay and play Star Wars?
He doesn't mean that. You're gonna get.
We love you,
next
Ashley.
week.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ashley.
But in regards to that, then I think that brings us to a wrap. We'll probably talk a little bit more about it. If it came to Stadia, we could go and do a full episode about it. But until EA announced this partnership is a real legit thing,
do it.
Do it now. Do it now. But we are limited. So if there's nothing else from you two gentlemen.
Not at all.
That's all we've got time for then on this week's show. Thank you for listening, and remember you can always find us over on all major podcasting platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Just search us out on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you're kept in the loop when the content goes live. I really do appreciate all the feedback, questions, and support we've been getting over the last couple of weeks, so just keep that coming. As we head into our final week, the week Google Stadia launches, and it'll actually be in our hands for real. Fingers crossed. Hopefully.
Here we go.
Maybe not Tom's.
Yeah.
So it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from Tom.
See you later.
And you get a special little wave from Richie.
Goodbye.
We've been Sounds of Stadia. Thanks for listening. Let's go get drunk, gentlemen. Goodbye.
Bye.